But if Chris is ready, I'm just going to share my screen briefly. We are going to be having Chris Arnold discussing his Access Studio, which is shortly to be released, and which I think you're going to be quite impressed by. Certainly I have been. And if Chris is ready, I'm just going to say, if everyone could please turn off their microphones in a second. And if you want to turn off your camera as well, it would be helpful, because the internet connection here is a little bit unstable, and anything to reduce the bandwidth will probably improve things. If you want to ask any questions, can I ask you to largely leave that until after Chris has finished? But if you want to actually make a note of anything, if you can put it in the chat, I will pick up on that at any convenient point and ask Chris to explain a number of things, or we can, as I said, we might just leave that to the end. Anyway, if Chris is ready.
Yeah.
You are?
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
so
right. You should be able to share, Chris. I should have set that up correctly.
Okay, so Access Studio version 1, this is. It's just about finished. There's a couple of little bugs in it which aren't quite resolved, but we'll get there. So Access Studio version 1, a little bit about me first. I'm a qualified accountant, and I came to Access from that direction. I've previously been FD and FC of a number of companies over the years, but I've been working with Access for something like 25 years and contracting developing for the last 20. My primary focus has been on financial management and resolving discontinuity between corporate systems. Overall, I reckon I've saved my clients around about £500 million annually over the last 20 years. Some bigger amounts than others, some are a few million, some are a few hundred million. So there's been quite a lot of work for me in that area, where my accountancy background has also helped to identify where issues are. So what is Access Studio? It's a means of managing queries along the lines of SSMS. So within the QBE SQL view, all you can do is build and test new queries. With Access Studio, as I hope to demonstrate very shortly, you can build and test new queries. You can view the available tables and queries in SQL. You can view the fields of select a table, and you'll be able to view the fields for that table or a query. Text is formatted for easier reading. It does it in terms of both layout and color. There's a find and replace function. The results can be displayed on the same form as the SQL. You can add comments, both line comments and block comments. You can execute multiple queries in one click of the button, and you can also execute partial queries by highlighting them. There are one or two other bits and pieces which I'll demonstrate as we go along, but those are probably the main ones. Gives you quite a lot of extra functionality when writing your queries. In the VBA window, what you need to do is simply add Access Studio as a reference. At the moment, I've only got 32-bit. I'm looking to launch 64-bit as well, but at the moment it's 32-bit. And in the immediate window, you just type Open Access Studio. You could add a function or perhaps a temporary button on a form, depending on how everything works from your point of view. So I'm just going to demonstrate on Northwind database. I've just taken a copy of this. So this is just a standard version of the Northwind database. And to add it in, I need to simply add in under tools, references, browse, change that to an ACCDE. And it's there. Open that up, and that's now added to your project. And then in the immediate window, so when it opens up, you've got, this is what you're presented with. There's a maximum number of records that can be displayed. You can look at SQL templates. I'll come into that in a little bit later. You view the front end queries. The queries are assumed to be in the front end, the file that you've opened. You've got format. You can view the SQL. You can execute. Q for find and R for replace, and then you can delete queries here as well, and then you can save a query either as a query or as a template. It'll only save as a query if it's valid SQL, and in the same way as you have that with using the ordinary query window. And you can't save comments, but you can within the template. So if I click on, sake of argument, this is giving me a list of the products. You can see in here that you've got this is telling you that there's 69 records in there and that it's a query. If categories has got 8 in there, and that's a table, and so on. Some, it says params, means that parameters are required. This is intelligent enough to be able to put some parameters in just to be able to run the query, so you can see the tables that query produces. But some of them, I think that one is an example, won't work, and you'll get this message here. Basically, it can't identify the parameters. I'll show you the queries in a minute, and you'll understand why. So you can go through, you can resize the form, and you can also move this up and down as well. So you can adjust sizes, and you can also go this way. No, it's gone now. There's a small bug which, for some reason, on the first display, it will cut off a little bit off the edge here for a wider query. But using this bar, you can move it across, and that will fix it. So it's a bug which is annoying me, but I will have to get that sorted. So up here, we've got a list of the front-end queries that are there. They're also listed here, but if we just take the alphabetical list. So this is a valid query that's there. If I click View SQL, I can see there with it basically unformatted. I can execute it, and you get the information appear down the bottom, and you can adjust the height of it as well. If I had another query, I'll just see what happens now. Invoices, it's better. So here's a different query. I'm just going to copy that to demonstrate the next thing. So again, if I execute that, I'm getting that information there. Now, if I go back to products, and I put that one in, and now when I execute it, I'll get both queries appearing. So you can adjust the heights of these if you need to, and within this you can sort and filter. Now, moving on, you can highlight some code and just execute that one, and you just get that one. You can split and run just bits and pieces. So I might say that one there, and I just want to run that part of the code, so I don't want to have a criteria on it. So I execute that, and you probably can't really see. So comments, there are 2 types of comments. There's a line comment, so I could put a line here, ignore. And if I format that, it goes to green. What I'm demonstrating here, of course, is that the comment has been taken out. The other type of comment that you can do is a block comment, which is star. I would need to take that out. So if I format that, you can see that's been taken out. And again, if I execute it, I should just get seeker extended price. Okay, so you can use the comments in that way. You've got the multiple views of the different queries. If we look at the templates now, I haven't really populated this fully, but if we use the update one, there you can see I've got some comments in here. So you can either do an update that way, or you can use it update that way. So the idea is for templates is you can put in their code that you often want to use. Maybe you create tables or indexes. Maybe you have a routine that you need to run once in a while, but you want to also have some comments on it so you know what's actually happening. Then that's where you would store that. So these obviously won't work as a query at the moment because they're not. The table, there is a table called table name, for example. Insert and append. So there's different ways of inserting. So you've got that way, you've got this way, and you've got that way. There could be others, but it's just a way of you having a template that you can work to, and then all you have to do is replace things. So if I said, right, I'm going to do the first one, and then basically if I can take out table name and I'll put in categories, I can double click on a field, a table, and it will enter the table. And then field 1, if I put in category name, description. Now, one of the things I've been playing around with on this is how do I decide whether that's the first field that's being listed or the second, and I can't. So it's a lot easier just to put in from my point of view, it saves a bit of typing, description and picture. It just automatically adds those values in. So category name, I'm just going to call that ZZ. Value is a description. And what's the picture? Let's take picture out because I can't do a picture here. I think that will do the trick. Yeah. That should work. And then I can execute it. One record affected. So if I was to now put in, I'll just type it out. And there's the ZZ there. So that's the idea of using the templates. It's a way of fairly quickly pulling these things together. A lot of this is based around my style of doing things. So other people may have other styles, may have other shortcuts they're using. Maybe they can be incorporated in SQL templates, maybe not. The other thing you can do, you can drag that down so you can see top and bottom. If there's a scroll there, you can scroll as well. But the idea is if you've got a very long query, you could perhaps have, if you needed to, you can see the top and see the bottom. You can copy and paste from one to the other. Everything works off this one, and that's basically just a copy, just a view.
Chris, can I just interrupt for a second while you're pondering the next thing? A question from John Clark, who said, with action queries, is the data actually being changed, or is it just showing how many records would be affected?
Oh no, it's showing. So an action query, the one I've just ran, actually added that in there. So you may well have the situation where you want to insert something and then check that it's been inserted okay. So it's just a way of that's where an example where you'd run 2 queries to see what needed to be done. I've just remembered the other thing. The parameters was the next thing, and I did have a note of which ones had parameters on it. There we go. There's one there. So here's a query here which uses parameters. So if you execute that one, it will prompt you for the parameters. Enter a beginning date. It's been 1/1/2000 and 31/12, and then it executes. It hasn't found anything, but that's beside the point. So it'll prompt for parameters. If, on the other hand, you don't have those parameters there, So basically, then these are the parameters. They're not been defined. It won't work. Okay. So this is where the comments can come in handy. So what you could do is comment that out and put hash 01/01/2. Let's go for 1900 hash and 3112. That look right?
12, 12, 31, 20.
30.
Oh, it's a query. Sorry,
Yeah.
me stupid.
Yeah. So that hopefully will work. So I can comment those out, and then when I execute, yeah, great.
Just on what Colin was saying, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Will work, but it's not correct. It should be 1231, or
oh yeah, sorry, yeah,
versions,
yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
it'll recognise that anyway.
Yeah. No, still got a.
You've got that after your semicolon. I know that's not. That's nothing to do with the from clause.
No. No. But that is another reason why, because it looks for the semicolon.
What, before it checks for comments?
Yeah, what happens is if I just go back to that one and call that back again, is there's a semicolon there and there's a semicolon there. And when you're running multiple queries, it splits on the semicolon. And what it also does is, if having split it, if it finds the parameters is the start of that particular element that's returned, then it will add in the next element as well, so that you end up with the full query, is what happens. What I was trying to demonstrate, and this one is not working as it should do.
Can you Chris, how about putting between the first date, the original date 0, and date, and then view SQL and see if it's correctly interpreting it? Right now, if you comment out that line there, put in your dates, put in 1900 and date or something like that, but you need to deal with the brackets as well.
You're right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing wrong.
I hope I'm right.
No, I think you are right. We'll soon find out. I'll just take those out there, and then
you don't need to worry about them, then, do you?
No. And I've taken that out, so that should be okay. So what are we saying? Hash
don't you still need to take out that semicolon from what you said before?
No, because it's commented out. I'll show you in a moment.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, 1900 hash and well, let's go the right way. 31. Normally I do it as year MMDD, but if I view the SQL on that, that's now looking right. Yeah, it's ignored the parameters. So open that one out, execute. There we go. It does work. So using the comments that way is also a way of, the point is because you haven't specified, because you've taken the parameters out, it can't prompt for them. So by commenting out that and substituting a hard-coded value, that can be quite worthwhile. Using, if we look at the queries here, those are the queries that you normally see, but you can include all the form and control queries, and you get all of this lot here. I don't know if people are familiar with these, but basically that one there is a query for the subform on the orders form. So what Access is doing, it's adding this parameter in, which is basically the link master, link child values. So that's what happens there. I don't know why it uses a double underscore. I guess it's just some way it uses to identify what's there. So my point is that if you're interested in looking at those queries, I wouldn't want to save it as such, because that is not, it's something that playing around with the systems. But in theory, that is what you'll have actually typed in the form. Having
interesting, Chris. Don't be under any illusion. That was interesting. It's an element within Access which not many people look at.
Yeah,
is it creates for you on the fly a number of different queries which are named with that tilde SQL, that tilde SQ thing, and there are various different variations of that for different types of controls, but it's not something you would typically see unless you look in your query collection, your query def collection.
Yeah, MS Objects.
Query def collection, you'll see these. If you don't, you won't. A lot of people won't know they're even there.
Yeah,
They are there, but you won't see them as a parameter. They're not part of. They are part of the form to a certain extent, but they're stored separately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was something that I came across when I was doing. I thought, oh, what are they all about? And I thought I'd understood what it was doing. As I remember now, when I looked at this, it kept falling over, and I then realised that it was because it said it extended, and that was the reason why. But anyway.
Part of the problem is the appalling structure of Northwind, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yes, it's probably not the best example to use, but it's the only one I can find with a reasonable amount of data in it. So in this example,
I think it applies to any Microsoft template, to be honest.
Yeah, a linked Excel spreadsheet, sheet 2, which if I open that up, just so you can see it, is whatever that information is. It doesn't really matter what it is, but so I could do in terms of so as far as sheet 2 is concerned, it's there. It says it's a table. There's 140 records in it, which is linked. Yeah, and there are the names that are there. So, and again, I can do that. Select. Where's it gone? Sheet 2. Bring that down a bit. Is there? Yeah. When you click on it, it's supposed to clear it. I think it's one of those little things I'm going to have to check. So if you highlight something, takes it off the clip, well, puts it into the clipboard, and then moves it into a field, a hidden field, and then uses that. So when you execute the SQL, if that field has got anything in it, then it will try to work off that. So one way to clear it is that. The other way should be just to click on there and click on the on there. So anyway, that you can get the answer. You can connect to that one. I'm going to modify this so it'll tell you whether it's a linked table or a Excel spreadsheet or whatever.
So you could equally have clicked on the individual fields at the bottom to construct your query, couldn't you? In the same way.
Yes, yeah.
So rather than doing star, you could have done.
I could have said enum abbreviation full name and taken that first comma out. And if it's done it again. This is really annoying. And if I execute that, then you just get the 3 there. So you can put things together pretty quickly if you wanted to. Let's have a look at that table there. How are we doing for time, by the way?
Just about to say, Chris, it's 7 o'clock now, and we've had 2 or 3 people have just said they've had to leave. So I was going to ask if you could just quickly go through some of the other things you haven't covered yet, maybe the search and replace, and the delete button, just quickly, and then we'll go over to questions, and then also talk about next month.
Yeah. Okay.
So if anyone would like to add any questions in the chat window, I'll make sure we get to you.
Okay. So on here, let's say I want to look for the word prod. Oops, helps if I spell it right. Enter, and then it highlights what's there. And if I wanted to change that to say exp, it prompts whether you want to do it or not, and you say yes, and it'll change it like that. It leaves it highlighted so you can see where you've changed it. That is the intention. Just change that back again.
Is there an undo for this operation?
Sorry?
Is there any undo for this operation?
Not at the moment, no. And the other thing to show you is delete. Oh, what I haven't shown you on here is system. If you click on system, then you'll see all the MSys files as well. That's maybe obvious. delete. So this is called current product list. It's a query called that. If I delete, it'll delete it. And now it won't be in here. It's been deleted.
So is it just
And
to clarify,
that should requery.
is it just deleting it from your list or deleting it from Northwind?
It's deleting it from Northwind.
Right.
Yeah. And that probably means it'll, if I try to execute, yeah, I'm going to select front end. I think probably I'll call it a day on that now, unless anybody's got any specific questions. Or I can come back to that in a minute. I'll just tell you what I'm looking to do in the future besides debugging. So what's next? For the free version, I'm planning to fix the bugs, but nothing planning to extend its functionality at this point in time. There will be a 64-bit version to be released soon, but I want to get the bugs fixed first of all. And there'll be a paid for professional version, which will be available soon as well, which will have everything that's in the free version, plus you can execute it standalone. So you can manage all your apps from one location. You can modify the setup so you can change the max records to display. It's set at 200 primarily for efficiency reasons. You know, if you probably don't want to run something that's going to return 25,000 unindexed records. You can change the max records. You can change the app back and 4 colors plus the font size. So for people who like to work with a black background with white letters or whatever, you can do that. You can modify the formatting rules, which is used to set what gets indented, what doesn't, what colors. There is an option which I haven't implemented yet, but it will be on here, of being able to show bold or italic as well. And you can add new words and phrases for formatting. I'm also looking to try and include the QBE window. That's the where's it gone?
Sorry, the normal query window in.
Yeah, the normal query window. Yeah, back to this. And also be able to expose the relationships view as well. So that's basically as far as it goes at the moment. Contact information, you can contact me on that email address. That's my website, SME Data Solutions. SME stands for Small Medium Enterprise, for those who don't know. You'll find me on AWF as CJ London and on Access Forums as Ajax.
And on Utter Access as well, I think.
And on Utter Access as well, yes. But I tend not to go there very often.
Chris, can I just, coming back to availability then? Okay, I know you're still working on bugs and so on.
Yeah.
When the free version is available, how will people be able to get hold of it?
I would suggest, if they're registered members, that they contact. I don't know if there's a way of expressing an interest on the website. Yeah,
I don't think so, but certainly what we can do, if you're happy, we could upload the free version to the website, and I can send out a flyer to everyone when that happens, so they know it's there. And then the paid version, they would need to email you. And do you have a price for that yet, or is that a bit too soon to say?
A bit too soon to say. I've got some sort of figures in my mind. I mean, we're not talking megabucks, but it'll be a sensible figure.
And hopefully long before Microsoft release the Monaco SQL editor anyway.
And I'm pretty sure the Monaco SQL editor won't be doing as much as this one does. And
I don't think it'll be out this year anyway, to be honest.
No,
okay, right. If you're happy, I'll just go over to some of the questions that have come up.
Yep.
Massimiliano, so I knew I'd say your name wrongly. Massimiliano, I think some of your comments in the chat may have been related to stuff before, when I was offline briefly contacting Chris. You said something early on about we'll know if it's now I can't find it. If it works, we can believe it was a trap. That was nothing to do with this meeting, was it?
It was, but it was a jokey comment.
Okay, right. But then you did ask about action queries again. No, sorry, that was Ant Cross. Ant, are you there?
I think he might have left.
All right. He said, no. We're talking about action queries again. No, John Clark asked the question, and I wasn't quite clear about your answer. If you run an action query, you know, a built-in saved update query, let's say, is it just showing you is it showing you the results that would happen, or is it actually running the query? I think I know the answer to this, but
Yeah, it actually does update the query, but it's an interesting point. I might well include a comment saying this will create, this will update X number of records. Do you want to update?
That's a good idea. If you're
Yeah.
going to have an action query run from your studio, it really ought to have that prompt. Or you could look at the settings for the user.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make sure the warnings are turned on or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Alan Cossey, do you want to explain your question?
Yeah, this is, you mentioned early on about, I think it's in one of your queries, you weren't able to determine the data type of one of the fields.
Yeah, that was to do with parameters that are not declared as parameters. Because when you on a parameter, which one was it? Of course, I just deleted it, haven't I? Yeah, that one there. You've got the parameter specified, so it specifies date time. Yeah. Whereas if that wasn't there, then it needs to somehow determine that and that. So I could get some sort of analysis going, saying what's the data type of that, and assume those are the two the same. But I can see that having all sorts of potential issues.
Yeah, complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
That would certainly be a path to bite you in the bum.
Yes. Yeah.
If you went that way, you would be going down little side alleys forever.
Yes. Yeah.
No question, but an observation.
Yes, John.
Excuse me, I'm Massimiliano. The syntax here is SQL syntax because we know that AccessUser has a different way to put in parentheses the joins.
Yes. Yeah. This
is SQL-like, not Access-like.
Yeah. This doesn't. This only formats what you type. If you need brackets, you need to put them in yourself. This is where things like the SQL template thing could be helpful, because you can have something set up with all the brackets and all you have to do is change table and field names.
Okay, unless there's any other questions, I'm going to move on to next month in a second. Just to say thank you ever so much to Chris. I'm sorry about the problems we had at the beginning. And I know from experience about rushing into a meeting, it's not the easiest way of being stress-free. But I think you were very brave using Northwind for this. So I would avoid it like the plague personally, because I know how idiosyncratic it and all the other Microsoft templates are. But just to say, I have had the privilege of playing with this myself, and although there's a learning curve and I didn't try all the things there, I found it was basically, I found one minor bug, which was the one Chris showed you where the buttons disappeared, but everything else worked perfectly. Maybe I was lucky, but I think that's a normal. I think Chris is just experiencing extra problems in his rush to get through things here.
Yeah, there is one other bug which I ought to show you, but it probably won't happen now. Yeah, for some reason, don't ask me why, I get this error message. I'm not sure if that's a double quote or two singles. It's not a valid name. I thought it was something to do with shortcut menu, but I can't find it. So
you get
that, but if you click OK, you then get the rest of it come up.
You get that message exactly if you try and do a query based on one of the deep hidden attached tables, but that shouldn't be the case here.
No, no,
it's a deliberate spoiler by Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it works fine here, but for some reason you get that when you try and use the header. I think the only thing I can do is to remove the down arrow that appears there, so you can't actually select from the header. Which, I mean, personally, I never use it anyway. I'd always go for this way because I'm usually want to find something that doesn't end with int or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you ever so much, Chris. I'm going to pause you there because it is 7:10 now. And I was also in a bit of a panic at the beginning because we didn't have Alessandro, who appeared halfway through. Thank you, Alessandro.
Share now, sorry.
And Chris, yeah, I was just going to actually share my screen as well. Can I just, before I move on to next month, can I just clarify for everyone that the meetings will always be 1800 or 6 p.m. UK time, whether it's daylight savings hours like we have now, or whether it's standard GMT. So from now until the September meeting, including September, we will be on UTC +1. Okay, but it will always still be 1800 UK time. So for Central Europe, you're 1 hour ahead, I think, all of you, and you should change at exactly the same time as us. America, I know, changes at slightly different times to the UK. Have I shared my screen? I don't think I have. Right, next month we have Crystal Long. Right, Crystal is going to spend an hour discussing a thing that a lot of people find difficulty within Access, which is charts. And I know a lot of you will tend to opt out and go to Excel for your charts and then import the chart back in. If you actually use them regularly, you can do a lot of good things with Access charts. But certainly the classic charts, a lot of people find difficult to get to grips with, although they're very powerful indeed. The modern charts are easier to actually get into. Nice wizard, it looks good, but they're much less powerful. And she's going to explain to you what the advantages and disadvantages of each one are and how to get the best out of each of them. And hopefully Crystal will now say something.
Thank you, Colin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, next month I'll be presenting using modern versus classic charts in Access for Access Europe. And I really hope that all of you will join us. Modern charts have a better user interface and more colors to pick from. But classic charts have more power and flexibility and can be controlled with VBA better. But they aren't as intuitive to create or modify. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Looking down a list of numbers isn't nearly as quick to discern as seeing something visual like a chart. Like so many others, I had a hard time creating classic charts. So I pushed data to Excel and used their great charts. But then I found out how to really use the classic charts. Now Access has modern charts, which are a lot easier to create. And guess what? You can also do bar charts in a query. I'll show you how to do that too. I hope you'll join us next month, and I'll do my best to present you with information so that you can add great visualizations to your applications. Thanks, Colin and Alessandro.
Thank you very much, Crystal. And we had something like 25 people here earlier on, and it's dropped a bit inevitably because we've passed 7 o'clock UK time. But thank you so much. Does anyone want to ask anything else or add any other points directly related to this topic or anything else?
Yes, if I may.
Is that John? Hello, John.
It is. Yes. I posted a chat thing, but I just got to really give a shout out to Chris. Had I been faced with that much adversity, you guys would have been hearing words you would never hear in church or family meetings. So kudos to Chris. And
Thank you.
I can't wait for the clean version to come because this is pretty slick. I need it. All right.
I'm gonna drop Northwind. I think bad idea. But the point is, it got some data in it. That was all. But yes, okay. I hope to get it released in the next couple of weeks, probably after Easter, actually, because I've got a few other things I need to sort out.
And if any of you are going to DevCon this year, or not going to DevCon, but actually attending DevCon, Chris is also doing a session on this then, probably with a different database, I imagine, as his source.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think they ought to rewrite Northwind properly, but they're not going to. They're going to rewrite it, though. Anyway, any other comments or anything anyone wants to raise before we move on? If you do go on the website, you will be able to see the planned topics all the way through to December. I'm doing one in, I think, September, Alessandro in October, or it might be August and September. And Alexander Wojtas from Poland, I know he's doing the one in December. And hopefully we will have, oh, sorry, just move back a second. Alan, are you doing yours in July, aren't you? Or is it June?
June, I think.
All right. Okay. So one way or the other, we've got a huge range of different topics coming up. And thank you ever so much for your time. And we will get the video out as soon as we can. I'm going to turn the recording off in a second. And thank you and have a nice evening. And we'll see you hopefully next month.